Looking for a luxury car, but you don't want to show off your wealth? Volkswagen has got just the car for you. It's called the Arteon.
Arteon is a successor to Passat CC, later known as just CC. Ford offers Vignale trim for some of its models, Skoda has top-of-the-line Laurin and Klement trims, and Volkswagen has a separate model above the Passat. If at first the Arteon looks a bit like Audi A5 Sportback to you, you're on the right track. I also thought about the A5, but the Arteon is bigger and slots between A5 and A7. Compared to Passat Limousine, it is about 10 cm longer, 4 cm wider, and has 4 cm longer wheelbase. And of course it is larger than the CC it replaces.
Some of you probably think this is just an expensive Passat. Some of you may also recall me making fun of Ford Mondeo Vignale. We'll get to that later. But now let's just look at how beautiful the flared wheel arches are. Sorry, I think I'm getting old.
Passat CC had a regular sedan-like boot, Arteon is a liftback like A5 Sportback and A7, and BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe. Yes, Volkswagen Arteon is supposed to compete against the 4-door Bavarian Coupe as well. The 563-liter boot is slightly smaller than in the Passat, but significantly larger than in A5. It's got a regular shape. There are also a couple of shopping bag hooks, and that's about it. Seats in the second row split 70-30 and form a flat loading area. There is also a ski hatch behind the armrest. Unsurprisingly, legroom is very generous, but headroom is just enough for me, so taller passengers will have to make use of that legroom and slide down their seats. I'm 175 centimeters tall, by the way. There is also a huge tunnel running through the middle. Some Arteons come with 4-motion all-wheel drive. There are also controls for third zone of climate control. There is a 12-volt socket and a 230-volt socket. In the front, dashboard is very much similar to that in the current Passat. On higher trim models, you can specify optional virtual dials called the Active Info Display. Also optional is the 9.2-inch Discover Media infotainment system. An 8-inch system is standard. This one here uses internet connection to bring you traffic updates and information about things like weather, points of interest, prices on petrol stations, and so on. Except for the basic Essence version, the other two trims have dynamic chassis control. In the past, you could toggle between comfort, regular, and sport modes, but now suspension allows for much finer tuning. And as usual, you can adjust how other systems react, so your Arteon can be engaging to drive, even with adaptive cruise control on. We'll get to driver aids in a moment, but I gather some of you are still a bit old-fashioned and would like to know, how's this thing to drive?
I am pleased to report that even in normal setting, Arteon has very responsive steering. You can switch it to sports mode, but that only makes it artificially heavy. Now, the normal setting is good enough to suit the needs of most drivers.
With a 240 horsepower diesel under the bonnet, the car is quite brisk, duh, although I recall a couple of years ago the Passat with this engine was somewhat disappointing. In the Arteon, I feel the 6.5 seconds from 0 to 100 km per hour and 500 Nm of torque. Volkswagen promises combined fuel economy of 5.9 liters per 100 km, and I was quite surprised to average around 6.1. So it can be done.
At motorway speeds, the Arteon is very well sound insulated. I realized how good the soundproofing is while driving through a village and watching a worker with a compactor. I couldn't hear him until I passed him.
Visibility in the front is good, which is not all that obvious these days, as many cars have thick A-pillars and massive wing mirrors. Here the mirrors are far enough from A-pillars so as not to create a blind spot.
It's less rosy when it comes to rear visibility, and I'm not talking about the central rearview mirror, but the wing mirrors. Now, in these wing mirrors, I see beautiful flared wheel arches, and oh god, they're beautiful. But not much else. There's a huge blind spot, and cars keep popping out of it in the least appropriate moments. It's good the Arteon has blind spot monitoring and more. Volkswagen boasts about various safety systems debuting in the Arteon, or rather new generations of systems we know from Audi and other Volkswagen models.
Arteon comes with pre-crash system, which mitigates effects of what seems to be an inevitable collision. If the car senses an accident cannot be avoided, it will close the windows and engage seatbelt tensioners. Also, hazard lights will start flashing quickly, all this in a split second. Interestingly enough, in the Arteon the system works also in the back. Because it uses sensors from lane assist system, it works even when the car is stopped at the lights.
I hope you'll forgive me for not testing this system. I also hope none of you get to experience how effective it may be.
Another first in Volkswagen is adaptive cruise control, which works with traffic sign recognition and sat-nav. Under normal circumstances, adaptive cruise control just maintains the speed and distance from the car in front, but here it will also slow down to the speed limit in the area. It can also read sat-nav information to adapt the speed to obstacles on the planned route, such as turns, crossings, roundabouts.
Sat-nav includes a database of speed limits. The Arteon notifies me that a speed limit is approaching and starts decelerating so as to pass the sign with appropriate new lower speed. When there is a higher speed limit, it will accelerate only after it passed the sign. On the unrestricted sections of the German motorway, it will accelerate to 130 km per hour, but I can set a higher speed limit later. However, if a speed limit is temporary, and it's not in a database obviously, the car will start slowing down after it reads the sign. On motorways, it also sometimes, not very often, but sometimes will read limits on the exit, so it's not 100% reliable. As far as slowing down for obstacles is concerned, I suggest you don't trust it fully either. I would have slowed down for some of the corners, and also some of the crossings were treated rather liberally. You have to remember, this is still only a driver aid, not an autonomous driving system.
The last novelty is second generation emergency assist. Should I fall unconscious, the car will start decelerating. At the same time, driving towards the right side of the road, it will put on hazard lights and stop. This process involves park assist, lane assist, adaptive cruise control and blind spot monitoring. I got to a point where the car gave me a warning beep and a warning jolt and started emergency stop procedure. However, at this stage I took over so as not to cause a hazardous situation on a public road. Driver aids are very intuitive, and I found myself driving with adaptive cruise control 3/4 of the time. It works even in the city and takes away much of the stress related to driving in an unknown environment. One thing less to worry about. But would I like to be driven in a fully autonomous car in the future?
Yes, as long as the car allowed me to take over anytime I wanted. On the other hand, I wouldn't mind a car to drive me home after a drink, let's say, so I could sit in the back and I would not have to be in any way responsible for how it drives. I reckon we'll have to wait at least another 10 years or so for cars like these. Today, cars do not communicate enough with each other and with the infrastructures, and the sensors on one car are just not enough. I'm not talking about speed limits, but about situations where I would usually take my foot off the accelerator to let someone in merge safely. This car cannot do it. It cannot recognize a situation like that. Not yet, at least.
With the 1.5 TSI engine coming into production later this year, prices of Volkswagen Arteon at the moment start just below €40,000, making it slightly more expensive than Audi A5 Sportback, and about the same price as BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe. You can have the Arteon in Essence, Elegance or R-Line trim. The 1.5 TSI engine is coming up later. There is also a 2.0 TSI and a 2-liter diesel, with power ranging from 150 to 280 horsepower. Most potent versions come with 4-motion all-wheel drive.
I know I made fun of Ford for offering ordinary models in the Vignale trim and trying to change them into a premium sub brand. Volkswagen, on the other hand, is not trying to convince you that the Arteon is a premium car, though at first the price may suggest it.
And what do you think about the Arteon and how it is positioned on the market? Let me know in the comments section below, subscribe, rate and share. New episodes every Friday, unless I post something during the week, in which case you may want to press that little bell icon to receive updates about all my uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.